Welcome to Talking Business and Life with Claudio Relsano and Steve Mancini. Claudio and Steve will share their business and life experience to help you grow your business and improve your life. Here's Claudio and Steve.
Good evening and welcome to Talking Business and Life. I am your co-host, Steve Stefano Mancini, and as always, I am joined by Claudio Relsano. Claudio, come va?
I'm doing well. You know, I almost got stuck for an answer when you said, usually sometimes you say I'm my co-host. Everything's good. What's going on?
Not much. I was, you know what's funny is when you do a show, we've been doing a show years now. Yeah. I mean, literally years. And I was sitting there thinking, at what point should I change the intro up? And I'll tell you, I spent a lot of brain cells, and you know what I ended up with? Good evening. Welcome to the Italian. Nothing changed.
Keep it simple.
The only thing is I didn't screw up and say Italian Impact Weekly. And by the way, I've got some people ask me, said, I thought you guys did that. We can call it anything we want.
We did it, and we stopped, and we're doing it again.
It's just a different version.
Yeah,
that's right.
Whatever, yeah.
But anyway, Claudia.
Same two guys.
That's
though.
right. That's right. But real quick, we would be remiss if we didn't mention World Baseball Championships. Yeah. And, yes, we're talking business and life, but at the same time, at the end of the day, we're very proud of our culture, proud to be American, served in the United States military for 20 years. However, that doesn't mean that secretly we don't root for the Italians every once in a while. So, Claudio, I want to know is why are they doing well? And first of all, tell people what I'm talking about because you know these
World
gringos.
Baseball Classic.
Right.
It's all the European teams, United States, Dominican, Asian market. Everybody's playing.
That's why they call it World. But why are the Italians specifically doing so well?
They're playing smart ball. They're playing a different brand of baseball. When I was growing up, it was more hit and run, steal, bunting, small ball. And nowadays, they're just going for the home run. They're going for the home run. That's almost like a 50-yard chip, and you're trying to drive the ball 400 feet. It's not necessary. But they're playing smart, a little luck, pitching, defense. They're playing basic baseball, and that's what's winning. And they have good players. They're just not well known, which doesn't mean that they're not any good. They're just not well known.
That's a good point because I want to ask you something. Who is, if you were to look at their roster, who are, let's say, the top two most?
Cervelli. That's Francisco
from the Pirates.
Well, but he's
managing.
Yeah,
oh, that's right.
He's the face, and he's doing things right. And I think this run is going to help him get a major league manager's job.
Well, I'll tell you one thing real quick. I want to interrupt right there because what he did was he learned how not to do it here in Pittsburgh, and he said, whatever they do in Pittsburgh, I'm going to do the opposite. And no kidding, it works.
But I'm looking at this whole thing differently than most people. I've been getting so many calls, and I don't watch baseball anymore unless I have to be honest with you. It's like a secretary going home and typing.
I'm sure your boss at the baseball scouting agency wants to hear that.
Yeah, well, no. Well, that stuff
I'm kidding.
That stuff I do my job. No, I do my job. And the reason why I watch games is so I know what I'm talking about when I appear on a show. But I'm looking at it a little bit differently in this case. I've gotten so many texts and phone calls and emails about the World Baseball Classic. Baseball right now, I don't think it's gotten this much of a bump since the McGuire-Sosa home run chase. Mm-hmm. What I mean by bump, even it's a crossover sport a little bit now. Like football's a crossover.
Well, Italians certainly didn't pay attention, but now when you're, it's hard when your country's winning something. You're like, I'm curious, what is that?
Right. And we can bring our guest John in about this too, who played in the NFL. But it's worldwide, yes, and our company deals with overseas teams and the whole world. But what I'm saying is it's getting a bump. But the bad thing is everybody's excited about baseball again. Pirates have a shot to do something here in Pittsburgh, and everybody's getting pumped up about baseball again. But what's looming in the air? The lockout, the strike of next year. Mm-hmm. And it's going to come in bad timing because right now it's building, and if they walk out, fans are really going to not like it. A player's making $20-some-odd million a year, and they're not.
It's like how much is enough?
And what would they have to walk out on?
Wait, who the heck is this guy right here?
We're going to get him in. You know what? Let's get him in.
We got to get him on the conversation
now. We were talking
what the hell do they have to walk out on?
One of the questions I was going to have for him. First of all, he's a great guy. I met him through our celebrity golf events for the NFL alumni. I believe that's what it's called. Pittsburgh former players. His name is John Skorupan. He played at Penn State University. He was first team All-American. He was first team All-East. He played for the Buffalo Bills from 73 to 77. And hopefully my friend Chuck Knox didn't send you to New York, did he?
Yes, he did.
Did he really? Okay. Hopefully you like Chuck. But
No, I didn't.
Oh, really? Are you serious?
I'm
Okay.
serious.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, we're
You
gonna
have to tell me.
we'll bring that
I'll
up.
tell
in a
you the
minute.
story.
Hold that.
Chuck
thought.
was like an uncle to me. I love Chuck, but I get it. Okay, and he played for the New York Giants from 78 to 80, and he's a good man, and I appreciate him taking the time. John Skorupan. John, thank you so much for
It was
being on
my
the show.
pleasure. Thank you.
We got to hear the Chuck Knox story first. Go ahead.
Well, you know,
Swiftly.
Chuck Knock came. He left L.A.
Yeah.
You know, it was Hollywood, and he comes to Buffalo, and he's changed the whole. I mean, his attitude was, "You guys were terrible," which we were that 70. It would have been 78 years.
77. Chuck came here in 78.
77 year. We were terrible the year before, but it just his attitude was, and I said I'd torn my knee up, and I only played, I think 3 games that year, but I knew I was out. I mean, he just, even though I was a Valley boy,
Yeah.
I mean, I sold my house in Buffalo, bought a house in Beaver, and I was, you know, in training camp, and last cut I was gone, and fortunately, who was the general manager down in Miami. In Buffalo we had played, but now he was at New York Giants. So I get home, I drive home, and I get a phone call, and it's New York Giants saying, "Come on out. We got to." I think Brad Van Pelt got hurt, and we need some help. So I got out there and
You guys
lasted
had some
3
good
years.
linebackers, Van Pelt, Brian Kelly, underrated,
Uh-huh.
Harry Carson.
Carson, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? We were talking about baseball, and you said, what are they walking out on? I mean, 25, 30. And these are for average players
Yeah.
making, you know, all that money. Joe DiMaggio was once asked, if you were playing today, now this was in the late 90s, how much would you ask George Steinbrenner for? He said, I'd knock on the door and he'd say, hello, partner. Okay, but he was who he was. There's guys pitching, you know, an inning, you know, 2 innings a week, and they're making all this money. So
It's the same thing as the NFL now. I mean, I'm looking at free agency guys, and they're picking up $6-7 million, and they had, you know, lackluster average careers, and they're making that kind of money. I mean, it's just, you know, I can't
just-
comprehend that. you
I
know.
guess I just want to know is why? Like, why are the owners paying this? And I get there, you know, I understand there's a contract, you know, there is a contract, but that doesn't mean I've got to pay it. I'm not going to your point, I'm not going to, but I'm not going to compete for, listen, I'll use baseball and, you know, I'll use a football analogy.
It's all the same.
You got a guy that's batting 230.
Now it's college, too.
Well, that's right.
High school.
No, they're making
Yeah.
crazy money. But that's my point. Let's use baseball as an analogy. Okay, I'm going to get rid of somebody that's batting 230. What am I going to pick up? A guy that's batting 230.
Exactly.
What's the point?
Exactly.
And I'm going to pay him more sometimes. Well, is it a fresh look? You know, what? Or wait a minute. It's our coaching is going to get that 230 hitter better than the other 230.
Pittsburgh's been trying that for 10 years, 12 years.
It does not work.
We may jump around here because we do want to get to your career, but my opinion, but I trust my opinion and my eyes, and don't listen to the media. Baseball today, in the 70s and 80s and 90s, those pitchers, forget about the Palm receivers, forget about the Hall of Famers, because they would be illegal today. Illegal with the way the hitters swing.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the guys like Rooker, you know Jim Rooker,
Yeah.
Candelaire, and these are damn good pitchers. Louis Tiant, Dick Ruthven, Rick Roden, Joaquin Andahar, Louis. They would destroy these hitters today, okay? In the NFL, are the players, I didn't say can they run faster, are they stronger? Yeah, they're faster today, stronger, but they're not as good as the players I grew up with. Are the NFL players today better than when you played?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. I mean, there's diet, there's conditioning, there's so many
Skill-wise, are they better?
Well,
That's what I mean.
yeah, no, I think they are. I mean, look at all the one-hand catches you're getting, you know, and all, you know, they're just phenomenal athletes because they train year round. We didn't do that. I mean, the season was over. You
You had to go to work.
I did exactly. I went to work.
But like the quarterbacks, like what's his name, Dak Prescott, $65 million. They throw 5-yard patterns, 6-yard. Back when you played, LaMonica, Stabler, Bradshaw, Namath, Joe
Staubach.
Ferguson, Staubach, Fran, they went deep. And it didn't matter what, and they had good running backs back then,
Yeah.
like OJ, who you played with, and Lawrence McCutcheon and Franco Harris, and on and on and on. I can name Earl Camp. I can go on and on.
Yeah, well, but everyone was equal. I mean,
Meaning,
in the time frame of the 70s, the 80s, everyone was kind of the same. And just now, I mean, nowadays, yeah, they're all good too. It's a step up. if you look at, I look at the receivers. How I think they're tremendous what they do now.
You know
The
what?
one-hand catches. In a game, when
Maybe
did
the
you ever?
passes
When
are
did
bad.
you
They
see?
make them one hand.
Well,
When did you
that's
see in the 70s and 80s the receiver go back and the comeback?
Right.
That over the shoulder comeback to
Right.
on the
Good
sidelines. You never saw that in the 70s, 80s.
You mean as far
there's
as
difference.
so the receivers are that's like a good point because on one hand they have the benefit of the experiences of the guys that played there. I mean, look at all the coaches.
Yeah.
So you can say, do this, don't do that. So they're better in that regard that they don't have to learn something because let's be honest. The football changed from the 50s to the 70s, from the 70s to the 90s.
Yep.
And now it's basically arena football. I mean, just look at the way they would hit, and I'm with you that the skill, the bigger, stronger, faster, because they make so much money that they can train year round,
yeah.
and they didn't have that necessarily unless you were a superstar, and even
you
then.
have the best. I mean, they have a team. It's just like golf. They have
to train them and
the
everything.
team. They have a team. They got the conditioning guy. They got the nutrition
Diet, yeah,
people.
right.
They've got it all. They know they do that.
Psychologists.
Yeah, and they can afford to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still like your era better to watch. In baseball, I still watch games from the 70s and 80s. In baseball, people say, are you watching the All-Star game? Yeah, 1976 All-Star game. And not just because those were guys I grew up watching. I just like the game better.
Yeah.
Now in Major League Baseball, think about it. There's more strikeouts than there are hits.
Mm-hmm.
And I could show you on a monitor or on TV. And I know this is terrible to say. I won't mention people specifically. I don't want to knock anybody. But the plane of the bat, they miss half the plate, the way they swing. And it's taught that way. Mm-hmm. Coaching in baseball is horrendous. And they uppercut, and they miss half the plate. All the pitchers have to do is throw outside all day long.
Yeah.
And they don't hit it. So there's more strikeouts than there are hits today. And in football, I don't know, I hear there's more missed tackles than there were in your day.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think so.
And the passes, 5 yards, 7 yards, back then, they went deep.
Well, Deeper, yeah. More often, let's put it
that
that
way. More often.
You know what? I want to come back to that because I also think that, and you tell me if I'm wrong, you played. They don't, under the contract, they don't have full pads practices like they used to have.
Okay, so that's a big thing. Training camp, 2 a days in pads. 2 a days in pads. All
6 exhibitions.
6 exhibition games. Now they go out in shorts, just shoulder pads, and they'll do training camp 1 or 2 days a week, full pads, and it'll be, the short stuff. But they got to, and you don't blame them because they got a lot of money invested in these players.
That's kind of ruining it, though. To your point, if nobody's hitting me, I'm able to get away with the skill. But if somebody's in my face, and this goes back to kind of what you're saying, the old days. Listen, I've watched a lot. I grew up on the old football, and the hitting, I mean, you watch it now, you're like, these guys would be in jail for some of the stuff they
Roman
did.
Gabriel, an all-time great who I think should be in the Hall of Fame, got pounded. And they showed him, and nowadays, if you just brush by a quarterback, not that I want anybody hit or injured, by no means, but when you know you're going to get pounded and you have to stand in that pocket, there's quite a difference. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. But let's go back to the basic financials. You've got a quarterback that's $40 million. You don't want him touched in preseason or any other time until it's the real game.
But even
and
then,
right. Who's the second highest played players now? Offensive tackles.
They should be. That's a very important position.
Offensive linemen
to protect that
much more than defensive linemen.
Let me ask you a real quick question before we go. Eventually, we're going to actually get to you.
I'm talking, man. It's okay.
But I do want to ask you something because you know what? Even baseball, in all sports, there were a lot less teams. Do you think these sports teams have expanded too much?
Look at all the colleges. That's just there are so many more good college teams now because of better players, better facilities, better training, the whole 9 yards. It's just incremental, gets better.
2 questions for you, and then we'll start, at least on mine, then we'll get to you. Is the coaching better today in the NFL than it was when you were there? And your thoughts on NIL in college?
The coaching is better in the NFL now. There's more coaches, number one, and more, video and everything else. had film. We didn't have. We had regular films.
An old projector where you got a guy
projector,
splicing it.
exactly. So tell me, so that's and NIL is the worst thing that ever happened to college football. It's not. It ruined me for college football, and that's I love it. I still I mean I like it. I like it. I like it better than professional football still.
Okay.
But they I mean, it's not fair to me. Yeah, they should get compensation, but whether you're an All-American or third team, I think they should be something where position-wise, everyone on the team gets something, and it should be equitable, not one or two guys getting $5-6 million because they're the quarterback or a wide receiver. It's not fair, and it just how do you, as an alumni of Penn State, how do you watch a guy for 2 years and all of a sudden he's gone and then he's in another place, And
You were for the laundry instead of the kids. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I want to chime in on that because the flip side with college football, you knew to the point you might have had them for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, traditionally you can have them for 4 years. Now you're thinking year 2, maybe, especially if they're a good player. But I want to go back to something because now I'm wondering how will that impact the NFL? And here's what I mean by that. Now I'm going to you're a kid, you're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, you could theoretically be making millions of dollars a year in college level. Now it comes down to, do I want to play in the bowl games? If I'm going to get all this money, I may have to play more. Now I risk maybe injury difference, or if he's not going to play as much, how often? How does an NFL team look at him and say, well, he's not playing games? And I understand bowl games. You could take him or leave him. I know some people say
unless they're for national championship,
right? Exactly, because there's so many bowl games. I get it. So it depends on that. But I wonder if that's going to have a ripple effect into these players getting into the NFL.
No. It's not.
You don't think it'll impact them?
No, I mean because it's just human nature now. You're going to be protecting yourself. What about who's the kid from Mississippi State, the quarterback? He's just petitioning for another for the 6th year because I mean, and why? Because he knows he can make $6 million, and not have all the pressure of being an NFL player right now. That'll be the next year.
Yeah. No, it's completely different. I like you and I respect you a ton, but I'm going to say this. I just cannot, and I'm trying to be honest with myself. They say when you're younger, everything's better. Mm-hmm. I like the old coaches. I watch the old films with Sid Luckman and all those guys, and Chuck, of course, and Noel. I just like those coaches better. You said the equipment was better.
No, I said
the video.
All that.
But I don't know if these guys, like I said, they have all these notes and this, that, and other thing.
Oh, they're not. It's not as fun. Let's put it that way.
It's fourth and 6, and they throw a 1-yard pattern. Well, hell, I can do that. I can come up with that. In baseball, and I'll be blunt, and somebody might not like it, and they say, who the hell is he? Well, I don't think it's anywhere near as good. I could show you on TV the things that are being taught in hitting, and you say, oh, man, you're right. Or one time, Candelaria I brought him on to be one of our scouts at this showcase. About 100 yards away, maybe not even. I hear him say, stop. John's 6'7", I see him get up.
Yeah.
I said, what the hell happened? I run over. This is in West Virginia. He said, who's telling you guys to step towards the baseline when you throw? He said, our coaches are. Why? So we can get our hip into the throw. The only person you're going to help is the doctor. That's it. Those guys, I learned so much. I've been fortunate. I've known a lot of those guys since I was a little kid. And I ask questions. I always ask questions. Those guys know what the hell they're talking about. I hear some of the things today. Wow. Unbelievable. Now you say, well, this guy's hitting, doing whatever. Went to a Yankee game, Pirates. Yankees, 220, 230, 210, 214, 240. What the? And like Steve said, batting 230, we'll trade him for another guy who's hitting 230. Unbelievable.
And they still have a $200 million payroll.
At least. Oh, more than that.
I don't get it.
All right, John,
we're going to take a break, though.
Okay.
But we got to take a break.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks, we're going to be right back after these messages.
Ciao Chrissy. Your Italian got so much better. Brava!
Grazie. It's because I learned the best way possible.
How so?
Well, I learned that with apps, grammar books, and even YouTube videos, I could only get so far. I had to immerse myself. I noticed I did best when I was in Italy visiting family. That's where my level really soared.
And wow, did it work?
Thanks. I became much more confident, fast. That's why I created Footsteps Through Time. It's an Italian language experience. You don't just take Italian classes, you immerse yourself in a real Italian village. With lots of fun activities and excursions, it's life-changing.
I see. So, no more boring grammar, impersonal apps, just real conversations, real culture, and delicious food, of course.
Exactly. I'm so excited about this. Learn Italian by actually becoming part of the local community for a week and living it. So if you've been dreaming of Italy and the language, check out Footsteps Through Time in Italy.com. Book now and join the experience.
Andiamo!
Thanks to Greater Pittsburgh Travel. For any of your travel needs, let Tom and the team at Greater Pittsburgh Travel know and they'll take care of you. For more information, call 412-331-2244 or visit their website at www.greaterpittsburghtravel.com. And we want to thank the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. If you're interested in learning more, you can find their contact information on Facebook at Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. Again, thanks Domenica and the team at the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh for your support.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claudio Relsano, and I'm the author of the book, Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up, How to Create a Positive Winning Culture on the Field and in the Office. My years as a head baseball coach and a general manager of a pro baseball scouting company, I know that my leadership experiences that I've included in this book will help you become a better leader. You can get the book at ClaudioRelsano.com. Speaking of ClaudioRelsano.com, you can listen to my show, The Claudio Relsano Show, where I've interviewed such legends as Mario Andretti, Dick Vermeil, Rocky Blyer, and many, many others. And I also have an entrepreneurial program there talking about my entrepreneurial experiences. So hopefully that'll help you and hopefully you will enjoy that. And also, Sports Corner, hosted by Ralph Williams, co-host with myself, Jim Frazier, and Luther Dupree Jr. We appear on 92.5 FM, 1250 AM, The Answer, Salem Radio, every Saturday here in Pittsburgh, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy all the shows, and I hope you enjoy my book.
We'd also like to thank Chris Gonzalez from the Knights of Columbus. If you have any questions about joining the Knights of Columbus, reach out to Chris Gonzalez at 412-605-9074.
All right, welcome back to Talking Business Life with Steve Mancini and Claudio Relsano. You know, one time I did a video, and the guy said, usually we take about 4 to 6 takes, easy. I said, I'll do one take. I know what I'm talking about. So, okay. I messed up the first take. I messed up my name. The rest I did good. It was my name I messed up. Okay. All right. John Skorupan, former Penn State, Buffalo Bill, New York Giants linebacker. Tell us about your time at Penn State, a memorable game, memorable moment.
Well, you know, Penn State was the best 4 years of my life, and that's what Joe Paterno promised. And it lived up to everything. Famous, well, one of my better games was against Navy, 17 tackles, interception for a touchdown, that kind of stuff. And, our Penn State was, it was a great learning experience, and I never thought about where my future was going to be in professional football at the time. I started as a sophomore, and my name is still on the steps at the bookstore with 274 tackles, in a career. And
how does that make you feel when you go back and you see
No,
that?
I just took my grandkids up there this summer, and we loved it and saw the stadium and everything else. Still, had pictures of me in the Hall of Fame through the stadium at the inside the stadium. So it was a lot of fun. Had a great time, and that's nice. Those are great memories.
For sure.
But Penn State, we weren't. We were underappreciated in college football. The SEC and the Big Ten were still, a grade above us, they thought. So, and I can't disagree with that sometimes, But it was a fun time and a great career for there.
It just hit me. You played with John Cappelletti.
Yes.
When he won the Heisman.
He was a year behind me. Yes.
Okay. Thoughts on that? All that with his brother and all, that had to be emotional.
It wasn't. Well, I was not there then when when he got. I was graduated.
Oh, you graduated. Okay,
he was
sorry,
he was a year
sorry.
behind me. So, but I was happy for him. He's a tremendous guy. It took him a year to get situated. Our junior year was we were still 10-1, but he had fumble problems, and the first couple games, and it was all these tight games against an Iowa team or a even Navy team. But he came along at the end, at the last half of that season. We were rolling pretty good, and we beat Texas in the Cotton Bowl that year. So
He started as a defensive back, if I'm not
he
mistaken.
was, yes, yeah. It's funny where all these people. It's like Denny Onconce. You remember that name?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he returned punts.
Yeah.
he was an All-American linebacker for 2 years, and he returned punts. So, but it was very, very satisfying to be there and beat Texas. We played Oklahoma the following year in the Sugar Bowl and lost to them 14-0 because Cappy got sick, and so we didn't have a running back after that. But it was it was a great time, and Joe, God love him, he was the best. He's the reason I went to Penn State.
See, if you don't mind me asking, whenever you said he promised you this would be the best 4 years of your life, what did he do to help those be the best 4 years of your life?
Yeah. I think it was his whole the whole atmosphere with the team. I mean, I as freshmen we couldn't play, so we got the '69 team was undefeated and won the what was it?
I think it was the Cotton, right?
No, it was in Miami, the Orange Bowl.
Oh, Orange Bowl.
They won the Orange Bowl 2 years in a row. But, he was level. I mean, he was always there, always talking, always teaching. And teaching is the word. Because, if you see other guys slamming the balls, high-fiving, Joe said, famous word, act like you've been there before.
Yeah, you've been there before.
So he grounded you. He kept you grounded all the time. And, don't get too big of a head. Don't do stupid things. Keep your nose clean. Get your education. You came here to get an education and play football. Actually, education, have a good time, and play football. That was the deal with him.
Let me ask you a question. Obviously, you're in high school. You end up in Penn State, so you couldn't have been too bad. Was there a point where you kind of knew, and I always like to know this, where you knew you kind of had the it? Because even back then, there were a lot of kids trying to, one, get into a Division I school, and then even from there to get into the NFL. It's still a tremendous accomplishment.
Yeah, I never thought about the NFL part. The college part, yeah. My junior and senior year in high school, I was all state, and I played in the Big 33 game. And I was hungry. I had a funny story, well, a good story. My dad wouldn't let me play football until I was in 7th grade. I was too skinny. So Pop Warner League was back then, and so the weight limit was 115 pounds. 7th grade, I was 6 foot, 115 pounds. Skinny, but I could run, and my dad's best friend helped coach the Pop Warner team. And one day he came up and said, "Are you afraid to hit that guy across from you?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, you act like it. You look like it." I said, "Well, I don't want to hurt him." And so he goes to me, "Did that hurt you?" "No." I said, "Yeah, because you have pads on, a helmet. It won't hurt him either, And I said, "Oh, yeah, that's right." So, I really, got the message, be more aggressive and, go after people.
At this point, if we were doing some editing, we would just immediately cue the hits at this point.
Now if a coach shoved a kid like that.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
lawsuits.
crazy, but,
and,
When you were saying about Paterno telling a player, act like you've been there before and stuff like that, yes, give him credit for your 4 years, but the players that come to mind, you, Capoletti, Franco, Lydell Mitchell, Shane Conlon, I can go on and on, those were not only special players, such as yourself, but special people.
Yeah.
And they had to listen to him. They had to allow to be coached. Do you agree with it? Because some kids today, I'm starting to say like the Sabins, and whether Deion Sanders is a good coach or not, he's passionate. You got to say that about him. And are players resonating with those passionate coaches anymore? Like maybe the Paternos and stuff like that? Or would they, you see what I'm trying to say? You
Yeah.
have to have special people.
Yeah, well, he connects. A great example. So, back then you could only visit 5 schools.
Oh.
So I visited Duke, Purdue, because my uncle was out there. He was a good ball player too. Miami, Florida, to go. I wanted to get out of the cold. That was just a fun trip. And then Penn State and Ohio State. So I was torn between Ohio State and Penn State. Ohio State had the better facilities, the horseshoe, the Big Ten championships every year, and it was a place. I said, wow, it was easier back then. It was easier to get to Ohio State than it was Penn State because 80 wasn't 222, 22 wasn't wide, so it was much easier. And but the night and day between Woody Hayes and Joe Paterno. We walked in. It was called the High Lie back then in Columbus.
The what?
The High Lie restaurant. It was and I don't know what. Anyways, we had a recruiting trip, and there was other people there, and they had won the national championship the year before. And Woody walks in, and he's like, strutting his zip, and had a private room in the back for all the players and family, and he sat me down next to him, and he said, I got everything worked out. As a sophomore, the weak side defensive end, he's going to be leaving, so it's your position. That kind of stuff. And Joe knew I was thinking about Ohio State also, and this will work in with the business. We're going to be talking about some too. So Joe sat in my living room and said, Johnny, you're close to your family. Chances are, wherever you go to college, when you're out, you're going to come back to this area and live. And he said, let me tell you, there's nothing better than being a Penn State alumni and working and living in Pennsylvania because we take care of ourselves. And thank God I listened to that, because in my business career over 30-some years, I called on architects and engineers who were always all 80% of them were Penn State alumni.
Wow.
And they said, John, come on in, sit down. What can he do for you? Instead of
The super secret handshake.
No, there was no secret
See,
handshake.
you allowed that. You allowed to be coached, though. You listened. I've been so. I just.
That goes back to my family. My upbringing.
There you go.
And that's everyone that you talk about. They had the same thing.
Yes.
Their parents, they listened to their parents. They had a good family life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just the past 3 days, I had 2 players. One I coached last in 2009. The other one 2013. The kid's coming back. He wants to introduce his little kids to me. Man, I broke down. I really did.
Yeah.
And I'm getting funny talking about it now. Then another kid, Rainer Nunez, he's getting married. He's inviting me to this. That means the world to me. And when these guys, I think you may have read the comments that the guys wrote in the back of my book. Of course, I didn't ask a kid who was going to say I was a bad guy. I asked the right. I'm not stupid, but but I don't give myself the credit. I had great math teachers, John, Steve, but I didn't listen. Are you going to blame them? They blame me. I didn't pay attention.
Right.
My guys listened. You listened. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if players today are going to listen to those coaches who just talk more than X and O, who are passionate. I could be. I don't want to put a blanket on everybody.
I think there's so much more pressure on them right now, and especially with all the dollars you're throwing around. Dollars, I think, can speak louder than parents or coaches or anything else. Where am I going to make the most money?
But I think the parents are actually probably driving the kids into that. And I think, because I know when I used to coach a lot of hockey, I coached a lot of travel hockey. And
it's not a cheap.
No, it's not. And then the problem now is you have to be a one-sport kid, and you have to do it. You talked about the year-round. The problem is when you're a kid training year-round, you overuse certain joints, certain muscles. And I knew kids that were 14, 15, 16 years old having physical problems, and they were just burnt out. They didn't want nothing to do with it. And I'm thinking, man, this kid is so talented, but you have used this kid up, and you had him running since he was 5 years old. I mean, I remember watching kids be 4, 5, 6 years old. They're like little squirts and mites, as they call them, and they're getting dragged to the rink, and they're dragging it back. It's 10 o'clock at night. You're like,
We were
oh
all
my God.
three-sport.
Yeah,
You
they
had to
just
be.
won't allow that anymore, though.
I know. I think
To Steve's
that's-
point,
Yeah.
and they get burned
Right.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I have a grandson. He could be a great quarterback. He plays basketball. He loves football. And now his dad and I had this conversation just yesterday. How much baseball are you going to let him play? Because he's a good baseball player too. And he said, well, I think those baseball and football are the two that he should be playing. But there's this lap over, from summer to fall, and so now it's disrupting our vacations, because I got to schedule vacations, before he goes to summer football camp, that kind of stuff. So,
Buffalo Bill years. Lou Saban was your coach. And
Yeah.
Very colorful guy. I liked him.
Oh, I loved him. Yeah, he was good.
And some of your teammates. Talk about
Yeah.
your Buffalo Bill years.
Well, Lou, good story about Lou. There's three of us rookies were sitting down, and we opened up Rich Stadium too. That was the first year, '73. That was the year Juice got his 2,000 yards. So there's three of us linebackers sitting there waiting for the meetings to start, and he comes down walking the aisle and goes, "Gentlemen, how you doing?" "Good, coach." "Real good." "Okay, good. If I have to talk to you again, you're in trouble." That type of guy. Hey, but we had most this was afterwards. He was a coach that said, "This is your job. This is your job. Take it seriously. Work at it. And I trust you enough that when we went on when we traveled to other towns, they didn't have anyone come and check the rooms, because it's your job. That's part of your job to take care of that. Not go out there and drink beer all night and can try to play a game on Sunday." So he was a very intelligent guy. He knew Russian language. He was in the Army. He was an interpreter or something like that. So
Worked for the Yankees too.
Yeah,
I think you knew
that's
that.
right, yeah.
He did multiple
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And some of your teammates. Joe
OJ
Ferguson, you mentioned
naturally.
OJ.
Yeah. Joe Ferguson and I were roommates.
Okay.
And
Very underrated quarterback.
Very underrated. I was just watching some stuff about that on YouTube. His first 3, 4, 5 seasons were very, very good. He led the league in some of the passing statistics and that. So
Terry Bradshaw and him were teammates, and they said, I believe in high school, they said there was a better left-handed quarterback that was better than both of them. But I think
he went to baseball.
no, I think he may have gotten killed. I think.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
what a
Yeah.
trio of
Yeah.
quarterbacks. But
And Jimmy Braxton.
Jim
right?
Braxton, yeah.
He's-
OJ's blocker.
Yeah.
And you guys had Reggie McKenzie, Joe DeLamelore.
Yeah, great offense. Our defense, we weren't that good on defense at those times, but it was a good. I tore my both knees up during the 5 seasons there at Buffalo, and then finished out with the Giants, and had a good year last year with the Giants in 1980. Then Lawrence Taylor came and is out of a job.
But when you played, though, like I said, Kelly was very underrated.
Yeah.
Brad Van
Pelt
Pelt was
underrated.
who was number 10? Van Pelt.
Van Pelt,
He
yeah.
was underrated. Are you impressed with my knowledge of the Giants
Yeah,
and Buffalo?
yeah. Why?
And then and Harry Carson.
Carson was
obviously.
very
So
good,
for you
yeah.
to get some playing time
Yeah.
there, that says a lot
Well,
for you.
The last year, Kelly got hurt, so I was in.
Okay.
I took his position for the whole year until 2 games before, and I tweaked my knee again, but didn't need operation then. But I've had, both ACLs done, and I've had 2 replacements on my left knee and 1 replacement on my right knee. So the sacrifice you make.
And Steve made you walk up the hill to come here.
You did.
I didn't know where else it was coming down. Which is better for you to come down? Or right?
It was part of my evil plan.
It's easier to go. It's harder to go up. It really is.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. One, I am impressed actually with the fact that you guys can remember these names. I'm like, I just don't.
I got
remember
hit in the
them.
head too many times.
I deal with idiots a lot, so I don't know how the hell I'm able to remember these things.
I don't even remember what I had for breakfast, and I haven't gotten hit as many times. I'm curious though, when you reflect back on those days, and obviously, it's easy, it's cliche easy to go, oh, I learned all how to work hard and discipline and all that stuff. But realistically, what were some of the deeper lessons you got out of that? Because at the time, you're just playing football, you're disciplined, you got to show up, it's a job. But at some point in your life, you must reflect back on that and say, what do I take out of that?
Well, how to bounce back from adversity is the biggest thing, because especially in professional football, because you're getting paid to do that. Your job is on the line every day, every week. It's a lot of pressure, and some people don't handle that well. But to think about, okay, I missed that tackle. Oh, am I going to get cut or what? It's a lot of pressure, and you have to learn to just put that away someplace and save it for someplace. Don't think about it now. And you go out there and work hard every day and try to make yourself better. It's but it's not conducive to someone who a snowflake is going to fall apart. They're not going to get that far anyways. Number one, but it's a very, very. To me, it was something you had to handle. And especially when you have a family then.
Right.
So fortunately, I got my education, and after football, I could do different things.
Do you see younger folks? I mean, do you keep in touch with younger players at all? Like, do you have any contact with a lot of younger players?
No.
Because I'd be curious what the mindset is now. I mean, again, these kids are. It's not that. I'm guessing you weren't not driven by money. Obviously, money. It's a job.
No,
right.
it wasn't that much money, but
right.
It
but I mean, it was.
But it was a good living.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, now it's
It's more pride of
That's what I think is
the money's not. Money's part of it, but the pride in performing.
I mean, they wanted to win.
Yeah,
I mean, but I
they
don't.
wanted to win,
I'm
yeah.
not. I'm just not convinced. Everyone can say that, they're professional athletes, blah blah blah. Why don't they just, It's like at the end of the day, they're also human beings.
You can't click it off and on either. That's
Well,
the other thing.
you either have. I do. I believe you either got the heart or you don't.
Yeah.
Well, they say Marvin Hagler, the former boxing champion,
Yeah.
said it's hard to go to bed in silk pajamas and wake up at 5 a.m. and go run. In other words, you have that kind of money, it's hard to have that hunger. But those are the guys who turn it up, and those are the Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the winners, not only on the field but off.
But injuries are the other thing.
Sure.
That just destroys people.
And you can't control that though. Either,
No,
right?
you can't.
Now, you're wearing a Greg Norman logo, and I know Steve's tired of me talking about Greg Norman. He's my favorite golfer, but favorite
I actually have a
businessman.
polo too, for the
You
record.
should have worn it. You should have worn it. But he said, I want to prepare for my life when I'm no longer number one golfer in the world. I'm trying to prepare my life when I'm done with coaching. I'm always going to scout professionally. I would like to do shows like this, but I'm trying to prepare. When did you say to yourself, I have to start preparing when I'm no longer an NFL linebacker?
Well, it happens right when you know when your time is up. I mean, I could have gone after the Giants. I was actually had an offer to stay and help coaching. John McVay was the coach.
Sure.
And he went on to San Francisco, didn't he?
I'm not sure. I know Ray Perkins replaced him. You didn't
Yeah.
have Ray Perkins, right?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did,
Ray,
okay.
Ray was first. Ray Perkins was first.
Okay.
Yeah, McVay replaced him.
Okay.
And he said, I think you would make a good coach, because I was calling signals. And I did that at Buffalo too. But so you had to put the work in to study, for games. But I was just burned out. I said I'd gone through 2 knee operations. My knee again was hurting. Was I going to go back and try to work on it again and get? I said no. I
Burned out physically or mentally?
mentally.
Oh.
No, I think physically too. 2 knee operations is a lot of work to come back from. I mean, I came back well with both of them. And I didn't have any problems until you get hit again. But no, I think it was just mentally. I was burned out. I said I've had enough. I don't need that. And I didn't think my family was back home in Beaver, and I was in New York for that season. They would come out for like a month. I'd rent a house on the beach, and they were around. But the rest of the time they were back in Beaver, and so I'm like, this is no fun. This is not my life. And if I go into coaching, my God, you could get bounced out all over the place. I know those. I saw the hours those guys put in. That doesn't seem like, So I came back and
Now, when you say burned out, were you tired of the game and everything surrounding it, or just the fighting and not fighting, but the I have to do X amount?
Yeah, 8 years was enough, I think, for me. Yeah, I was just burned. I didn't want to do it again.
And when did you say, okay, I want to do this for my post career? And what was it?
Right then. I mean,
Right
that's what's was leading to that.
Okay.
Okay, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? Fortunately, my father-in-law and my dad both worked for Westinghouse, so I got a job with Wesco into sales and marketing. And I continued. Better opportunities came along, and I worked for like 6 different companies in my 30-some years that I was out.
Were you able to leverage your NFL career?
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's much different. Hey, this is John Skorupan. No offense to anybody, but you had an NFL career, and that has a little more shine to it.
Like I said, I walk in an architect or engineering office, and they knew who I was, and it helps. Absolutely.
Now I'm going to ask a tough question on that, because look, at some point you're at the top of the mountain. We've had some guests on here, and I've gone to younger posts. Oh, we had Mario Andretti or Vince Ferragamo. We've had some great guests on here, and we all know who they are. Other people go, who? You're like, oh boy. You ever? Let's be honest. How do you feel though?
I'm going to be 75 years old. There's not that many people. There's less people now that would remember me.
But I was curious because between athletes or rock stars or whatever, at some point everybody knows your name. You got kids lining up to sign your autograph now. Like, get out of the way, old man. And you're like, hey,
Well, I have neighbors. My daughter has neighbors who I don't know how they all got into her neighborhood, but there's like 5 families that lived in Buffalo, and somehow or another got out that my daughter lives in their neighborhood, and that's my daughter. So they're asking me to go to a bar with them, and go talk about football and that kind of stuff. So but otherwise, but I don't, it's been too long for me to go out there and.
But you don't think. You don't think about it anymore.
How did you handle that?
Yeah, how did you handle that kind of top of the mountain to?
That's okay. A lot of times that's all right.
Because I do think,
and it just goes, but I still get cards, letters, and a football card to sign. During the year, I can't tell you how many. I'll get 1 or 2 every couple of weeks, and then sometimes it's depending on what's going on. I get these cards. Could you please sign?
Ah, crap! I forgot my card.
That's too bad.
No, I'm kidding.
I know.
But no, in a day and age where we didn't have that. But I could tell you, Sammy Ball. We're number 33. So who's Sammy Ball? People don't know who believe it or not.
Dan Marino?
Yeah.
I have players. I'll say, Dan Marino at CMU. Dan Marino grew up 2 blocks from here.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, they don't. It's where they're.
What the hell?
There's so much
it's their
going
generation.
on.
But my thing though is I always wonder. That's, in my opinion, that is why you have people, whether it's athletes or coaches, that hang on. I don't think it's the game. I think it's the
adulation.
Yeah, that they miss.
No, I'm not tooting my horn out there.
No, but I suspect there are a lot of people that hung around simply had nothing to do with the game.
After a while, the game's kicking you out, no matter what.
Right. If you don't perform.
Well, yeah. If you're not doing anything, like this show.
Hey.
Now, but when you do a show like this and you're playing the celebrity golf events,
I love to talk to guys. You tell stories. It's and they appreciate it. They might not. I know the younger guys that I've played in foursomes with, they don't have a clue who I am, and then we start to talk about it, and you had a pretty good career. But it's not. It's not like a Dan Marino being there that they would know, or somebody, or Joe Namath or anybody.
Again, we assume they would know, but that's right. Because it's us. I'm telling you his point. If you ask 20-something-year-olds who Dan Marino is,
One time I was in Boston. I was going to the Major League Baseball winter meetings in December of 2001. Here comes Bo Jackson. Nobody even looked at him. I said, Bo Jackson, how the hell don't you know who Bo Jackson is? It just boggles my mind. But before we get to what you're doing now, do you ever stand back, and you kind of talked about it with the step with your name on it. Do you ever say, man, I did something that 1% of the people do, and do you have your trophies up in plaques, and what does it mean to you, and what does it mean to your kids and grandkids?
it means a lot, you know, because they know the stories and they see I got some memorabilia sitting down in the basement at my desk downstairs, and so, you know, we've talked about it. I've given one of my helmets to my grandson already, so
That's nice.
you know, and it's but other times I'm just pappy, so it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
you know. So, but yeah, it's every night I thank God that I had a special life.
Right.
You know, it's special.
And I have to ask you this
Yeah.
too. What did your parents say when their son was in the NFL?
Oh, they were happy. First of all, they were happy, loving Penn State.
Yeah.
You know, and then
Yeah, Penn
the
State
Bills
too. Sure.
and they could go up and see us,
Yeah.
see me play in Buffalo because it was just a 3-hour drive up there, spend the night at the house, and you know, so it was you know, the family was always part of it. So.
Well, you know, without trying to be funny about it, I've been fortunate enough to win a few things here and there awards. But for me, it was always for my parents.
Oh.
Or for my wife and my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, you hope that maybe they can be inspired by it or motivated by it. And, you know, you want your wife, like Bruno Sammartino once said, he wanted his wife to go to one of his wrestling matches. And they were cheering, Bruno. He said, man, I hope my wife hears it, you know. Yeah, of course you want to,
Yeah.
you know, do that kind of thing. But, yeah, I mean, so as long as you do realize, hey, man, I've done a hell of a
I know
thing.
it was special. You know,
Very special.
there was something special that kept it going, and you know, to get through all that.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And-
Now tell us what you've done maybe the past 7, 8, 9 years with the Cranberry
Oh,
Township.
yeah. So yeah, I've been a supervisor for 20. I'm in my 26th year
Wow, at Cranberry?
at Cranberry. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So you know, I could do that because it's not a full-time job. We meet 2 times a month, and we meet, you know, as we get together for policy decisions and that before we have our public meetings and everything. So, but it's been the most rewarding thing I've done.
Including football?
Yes, including football.
Why?
Because it means so much more. Because I started 26 years ago. Cranberry probably had 18 to 20,000 people back then. Wasn't very big. And over those years, you know, I worked with, like I said, architects and engineers, and I also worked for a few times with general contractors. So development work is what I knew and enjoyed. You know, whether it was putting windows in a building or helping my contractor get a project or engineering work or whatever it was. So what I've seen, and I owe all this to the staff at the township, because we hire the best people. We hire, you know, accountants, designers, engineers, to help facilitate, put our ideas that we come up with, and our manager come up with, you know, what do we need to do here, what do we need to do there. We meet, we put the plan together, we have to put the budget together. We have great people that do that. So those people help us formulate, can we do this? Do we want to, here's one, do we want to buy the property next to our municipal building, old St. Ferdinand's Church? Do we want to do that? Well, yeah, I think we should. You know, we go back and forth. What's it going to cost us? How do we raise the money to do that? What are we going to put in it? Because we have all kinds of fields around us, outdoor fields. We don't have anything, like we have one basketball court in the municipal building. We need basketball courts. We need volleyball courts. We need, you know, turf fields for in the wintertime to train and, you know, get for our citizens. And so that's the kind of stuff that we work on. And, you know, it's such a good feel, you know, to do that. If you know where Westinghouse headquarters are in Cranberry on 228.
Okay.
So I drive, if I'm driving west on 228 and I get over the hill and I see Westinghouse over to the left. I see UPMC on the right. We see the Penguins facility. We see shopping malls. We see retirement homes over on this side.
You had something to do with it.
I had something to do with all that. And it's so great. We're now, 34,000 people now, 35,000 people. We keep growing. Not at a pace that's out of control, but a pace that, if you're not growing, you're not winning,
Right.
So, that's kind of what, and I'm just so proud of everything that I've been a part of to look out and see that.
And you plan on keep doing this?
I'm going to be retiring pretty soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you've
got
done a lot.
it's a strategic thing. It's I think I've done enough, and we get some new blood in. That's the whole thing. So.
All right.
Okay, as we're getting ready to wrap up, I do want to ask you one kind of overarching question. College football career, professional football, then you go off to the business world, you work. If there is some piece of advice that you would say in all of these different things I've done, and again, it's everything from being a professional, for lack of a better term, a professional athlete to a professional entertainer at the end of the day. Then you're into the you're in the private sector, you're working different jobs, you're moving around. Now you're basically in the public sector. What is the one thing that you would say, people look out of all my life, if I'm going to give you advice, I would tell you this is my advice. Whether it's to be a better person, how to be a better worker, how to be a better whatever. What would you tell someone?
I think they're, deep down, I'm a people person, and I think that that's hard for a lot of people to do, though, especially nowadays. I mean, you could get slapped down in a heartbeat if you said the wrong thing. It's a tough time. It really is. It wasn't like it was,
They're weak.
10
I'll say it.
10 years
I'll say
ago.
it clearly. They're weak.
Yeah. So I think that you have to be honest with yourself. What do you want to do? How do you want to accomplish it? Sit down and think about it. Put it down on a piece of paper. This is what I want to do. Make sure that is what you want to do. Don't. Someone told me I should do this. Make sure you have a plan on what you want your life to look like, and because you have to take control of that. Don't let other people influence you, that in the wrong way, because you can get, go off on a different tangent, not really something you want to do. But think about what you really want to be, and be a good person. I mean, I say hi to people. I like to talk to people. I don't, not going to say bad things about them. I want people to respect me and like me. You do that by just being your natural self. It's not hard it can be hard to do.
Some people,
For me, it's not that hard, but for, some people have that problem. But just try to find out what you really want to be.
Is that what helped you make the transition from the NFL to?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I had no choice, but I had to do something.
Because you see a lot of athletes, they can't make that transition.
No, they can't, yeah.
Or, and I don't know what's true, it isn't true, you talk about Floyd Mayweather, the boxer, he's fighting again, he's going to have another real fight. They say he made approximately $600 to $700 million. Now, he did I don't know how much he has, how much he doesn't have, but what the hell? I mean,
is he broke?
There's
Is that
talk
a rumor?
that he is.
Okay, it's a rumor.
Talk that he is. When you see a player like a boxer or an athlete like that who didn't make the transition, what goes through your head?
I just can't fathom someone losing that kind of money. Not. I don't want to be mean.
No,
He really is a nice guy.
I feel bad for him, but
Yeah, I feel bad too.
he
Assuming,
did it.
right? Well,
He
assuming,
did it to himself,
right?
more
Absolutely.
or less. I'd have to say, unless someone stole all his money.
Well, I think it was a combination.
It
of
probably
things.
was with bad representation and everything.
And then he bought maybe a little few things. He was on YouTube, or whatever TV talking about gambling and all that.
Yeah, I mean,
what the hell you gambling for? You got that kind of money.
Yeah, it's.
But it is a tough transition for some. You
Yeah.
hear all that. You
have all that fame and
applause.
fortune.
And
Yeah.
that's
You
kind
have
of
all
what I'm saying.
that,
There's
and
an
it's hard.
emotional transition. See,
That's what I'm saying.
We're talking about,
That's
you're
what I'm
talking
saying.
about just the pure economic transition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving this career. But that's my point. You go from guy on the top to Joe Nobody, but then I'll throw something at you because nowadays, athletes are paid ridiculous amounts of money starting at a very young age now. And there's no guarantee they're going to be there. They have the mental aptitude to know what to do with it. And you only get so many years of prime earning when you're an athlete. And if you don't make it, or you don't invest it or save it,
you don't have a right support
Right.
to help you through that.
And I know the leagues try to work with
They
their
do.
players.
I know the NFL does,
Right.
and I'm sure baseball does.
I've always admired, and I admire you. Not that I know I always liked you and admired you, but I mean even more so now, knowing your story. But again, I talk about them all the time on this show and other shows. Fran Tarkenton, Magic Johnson has done well. Greg Norman, Namath has done his thing. I go on and on. Ferragamo, Andretti, they, after their career was over, Jerry Cooney. And when we had Cooney and Andretti on, we didn't talk about, we may have talked 2 seconds about boxing.
Yeah.
We may have talked 2 seconds about racing. What did you do with your life to sustain your lifestyle?
Yeah, and
Chris
you
Corchiani.
use the tools that you have. Playing professional football is one of the tools that I can use. People like to talk about that, so you talk. If they want to talk about it, I'm happy to.
But
talk
you didn't
to
get
them.
stuck in it.
No,
You
no.
moved on.
Yeah.
You leveraged it.
Yeah.
But there's some people that are out there, and you've seen interviews, and it seems like they just can't let go.
Yeah.
And that's why
And
I said
I
I think there's some
understand.
athletes that just stick
That's what
around
I
a
mean.
little too longer, and I'm like,
Well, I'm
but
talking
you-
about
but
even when they
right.
retire, Steve.
Well-
they still don't have the same. Like John went on to do numerous things in the
Well, I
business.
think they don't know what to do. I think the problem is, and you could probably answer this best. Like when you're on the top of the mountain and you're playing, was there? We really got to wrap up, but I want to know. I'm curious about this one. Was there a point where you may have thought this is going to last forever? Or did you know there was?
hell
there,
no.
Okay,
No,
because
no.
because I think there are people that think this is going to last forever.
I wasn't a Jack Ham. I was close, but I wasn't a Jack Ham.
Interesting.
who
He
did
taught me what I knew.
who did well after his career as well.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of the old shit, Rocky Blyer,
Right.
Bradshaw,
Rocky's a
obviously
great guy,
Swan,
yeah.
Stallworth.
But they seem like they came out. It seems like you all guys came out of. You all came out of. I don't
era.
want to say. Well, I
That
don't.
era,
I don't want
yeah.
to say humble beginnings, but it was still discipline. There was a family structure. You were normal people, but you had a drive
Boy,
to do
I
well.
fooled him, didn't I?
But you know what I mean. But you look at the guys now that
Being
they
normal,
recruit,
I mean,
right?
being normal.
Normal's a relative. But I mean, you look at the people they recruit now. It's like I don't know how to put my finger on it.
Yeah.
But there's just something different,
Well, it's a different time.
right?
Look, I'm older than you guys. How old are you?
I'm 61.
Well, I'll be 75.
I'm in my 50s.
So so it's a different time, and there's different values. Obviously, it's kind of a crazy time, I think. But
But I think it's worse when the family is driving the materialism that's driving these kids into this train wreck.
Yeah,
and that's the difference.
Like I said, my dad said, no, I wanted to play when I was, peewee. Nope, I didn't raise you to. You're skinny. I didn't raise break your bones. You got to wait till you get a little bit bigger.
Whereas now they're like, "What? You're 4 years old. And you're not on ice yet. Come on, let's get them out there." You're like, "Come on."
Yeah.
All right, Claudio.
John, thank you so much for being
Thank
on the
you.
show. It was great, and have you on again. And I look forward to seeing you on the 12th at
Yes.
Shadow Lakes for the NFL
NFL
Alumni
thing, yeah.
Celebrity Golf Event.
Is it there this year?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. Yeah, pretty sure it
Okay.
is. So,
Oh, it was a different place.
well, we've been at Quicksilver,
Yeah.
Diamond Run,
Yeah.
and they have it at Shadow Lakes. this
Shadow
year,
Lakes
so
there.
that's
Yes,
good.
I like
That's
that
good.
place. Yeah.
But Steve, appreciate you. Listen, thank you to all the audience who listens to the show, and as always, thank you, Mom and Pop. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Talking Business and Life with Claudio Relsano and Steve Mancini. Tune in next week for more impactful business and life experiences with Claudio and Steve.